October 6, 2025, a little after nightfall on a ridgeline in the Yarra Ranges, 90 minutes east of Melbourne, an observer raises a thermal scope toward a slope he has watched for months. He is not scanning for deer. He is observing a resident mob of kangaroos, because in this season the animals that move through these forests sometimes interact with them. At 150 meters, a shape crosses the frame, low to the ground, four-legged, carried on stiff hindquarters. A heavy tail hangs straight from the spine. Close against the belly, a second, smaller shape moves with it. The recording runs for more than 3 minutes. Heat signatures register against the cooling vegetation. The gait does not match a dog. It does not match a fox, a wombat, or a feral cat. It matches an animal the official record states has been absent from mainland Australia for roughly 3,000 years. The footage reaches wildlife authorities. Experts examine stills. Some who have reviewed comparable recent images state that they lack the look and feel of a real animal. The recording remains. The settled scientific record holds that thylacines vanished from the Australian mainland in a narrow window between roughly 3,200 and 3,600 years ago. In 2018, Lauren White, Frederick Salter, Corey Bradshaw, and Jeremy Austin published high-quality fossil dates in Biology Letters showing that thylacines and Tasmanian devils disappeared together in the same brief period. The extinctions were rapid and synchronous. A predator that once ranged across the continent was gone long before the pyramids at Giza were built, surviving only on the island of Tasmania. At the time of European settlement, perhaps 5,000 thylacines remained in Tasmania. From 1830, a government bounty was paid for every skin. Within a century, the population on the island was driven to extinction. The last confirmed individual died in captivity in Hobart in 1936. Official declaration of extinction followed in 1986. The species became the textbook example of an Australian mammal eliminated by human pressure after thousands of years of prior survival. The Yarra Ranges lie at the edge of a city of 5 million yet contain forest that has never been fully surveyed on foot. Wet sclerophyll woodland rises here, mountain ash reaching 60 and 70 meters. The tallest flowering plants on Earth, standing above gullies thick with tree fern and fallen timber. Light fails before it reaches the floor. Sound is absorbed. Fire moves through these forests on cycles of decades, and the ash regenerates in dense, even aged stands that quickly conceal old ground. This is country built to hide movement and to erase traces. Across more than a century of records, mainland thylacine reports have clustered most persistently in southern Victoria. The same forests, the same darkness, the same described silhouette. The strongest signal in recent years is not any single clip. It is a database. In 2023, Barry Brook and colleagues compiled 1,237 thylacine observation records from Tasmania beginning in 1910 and subjected them to extinction date modeling in Science of the Total Environment. The conventional endpoint of 1936 did not hold cleanly under the analysis. The modeling indicated the species could plausibly have persisted in Tasmania into the 1980s, with a small but non-zero probability of survival into the early 2000s in the remote southwestern wilderness. This was a peer-reviewed estimate, not speculation from outside science. Between 1936 and 1998, authorities in Western Australia logged 203 separate sighting reports. Tasmanian government records list 8 unconfirmed sightings between 2016 and 2019. The descriptions that persist show a recurring pattern: stiff tail held low, striped hindquarters, the same stiff-legged gait reported across decades and across thousands of kilometers by observers who never met. When misidentifications are set aside, the residual consistency remains difficult to dismiss as pure invention. The same pattern of disappearance followed by later rediscovery has occurred before. In 1938, a museum curator in South Africa examined a fish pulled from a net near the Chilumna River. It was a coelacanth, a lineage the fossil record had declared extinct 6 million years earlier. On Lord Howe Island, a large flightless stick insect was declared extinct after black rats arrived around 1918. 80 years later, climbers on Ball's Pyramid, a rock 20 kilometers offshore, found a surviving population of fewer than 30 individuals beneath a single shrub. Biologists call these Lazarus taxa. The consistent mechanism is the same, the assumption that not being seen means not existing. The October 2025 thermal record sits inside this longer history. A confirmed heat signature appears in country long considered empty. The same morphological details recur from independent observers. The forest itself offers no contradiction because the forest has never been asked the question systematically. Large carnivores exist at extreme low density. A small number of animals spread across hundreds of square kilometers, avoiding contact, active mainly at night. Even well-resourced monitoring programs for wolves and big cats record long gaps between detections in terrain far more open than Victorian wet sclerophyll. A population does not need to be large to persist. It needs to be quiet, thinly distributed, and fortunate with cover. An extinction date is a statistical inference drawn from the silence after the last confirmed record, not a direct observation of the final individual. When the 2023 team fed the actual sighting data into that calculation, the fixed 1936 endpoint softened into a probability curve extending into living memory. A 2025 study published in Proceedings of the Royal Society B by Buddhabhushan Girish Salve and Nagarjun Vijay examined ancestral gene loss in the thylacine lineage. They found that several genes linked to immune function, lactation, and metabolic processes had been lost between roughly 13 and 1 million years ago, coinciding with the species' shift toward hypercarnivory and larger body size. Those losses may have conferred advantages under certain ancient conditions, while leaving the species more vulnerable in others. The finding addresses deep evolutionary history. It does not close the question of whether a remnant population could have remained undetected in specific refugia until recent decades. The same forest that conceals the living conceals the dead. Scavengers, fungi, and acidic soils reduce a small carcass within weeks. Environmental DNA sampling is now routine in Victorian catchments. When researchers asked the Arthur Rylah Institute whether its surveys test for thylacine DNA, the written reply stated that they do not. A tool already deployed across these landscapes is not calibrated for the one species in dispute. Absence of a positive result carries little weight when the test is not being run. Australia's forested wilderness covers hundreds of thousands of square kilometers. Much of it remains roadless and has never been systematically surveyed for any species. The thylacine was not officially declared extinct until 1986, 50 years after the last captive death. Certainty arrived half a century late. Searches that have physically examined only a fraction of possible range have not demonstrated absence. They have demonstrated the limited scale of the search. The obvious objection carries weight. If a thylacine could plausibly persist, why after 90 years, after thousands of searchers, after modern thermal imaging and environmental DNA, has no carcass, no skeleton, and no undisputed photograph been produced? Specialists who have examined stills from recent claims have not been persuaded. That assessment must be taken seriously. Yet the absence of a body is not, by itself, proof of absence. The reasons are structural. A thylacine dying in wet forest leaves no monument. The same cover that defeats detection defeats recovery. The recording shows heat signatures of a long body on stiff hindquarters and, low against the belly, that second smaller shape held close. The record states 3,000 years. The models allow room for something more recent in remote pockets. The forest itself remains silent. If the mainland thylacine truly ended before recorded history, then what continues to register on thermal frames in southern Victoria carries the precise form of the animal declared gone. If the record is incomplete, then the shape moving off that ridgeline at 150 meters did not return. It was never absent. The scope powers down. The ridgeline goes black.